But they have a political agenda behind global warming, and it is more government, more spending.
So that covers Russia's take on climate change, and now it's the sea ice and glaciers' turn to have a say. We've already seen that northern sea ice area is decreasing, especially in the last decade, which ends with some very anomalous behavior. But sea ice is only part of the story. All over the world, the majority of alpine glaciers are retreating and losing mass. Ice can't lie as easily as rush, and any series of pictures like these tells a very obvious story. The loss of ice expected in an anomalously warming world is going on in North and South America, in Asia, Europe, and even the snows of Kilimanjaro are receding at an alarming rate. But even though ice itself can't lie, people interpreting the ice can, either consciously or unconsciously. This rapid decay of the glaciers of Kilimanjaro is mostly due to land use practices near its base affecting precipitation patterns at its summit, and only secondarily due to regional effects of observed global climate change. And I could be committing the same deceit as Roy, Spencer, and Rush by cherry-picking the glacial data set. There are glaciers like this one in Alaska that have advanced recently, as have 3 other glaciers in the same area. But glacial advance is a tricky issue, highly dependent on the glacier's interaction with the ground at its base. What we really need to look at is not the position of the glacier's terminus, but the total volume of ice, what is known as the mass balance of the glacier. To get around the problem of cherry-picking the data set, the World Glacier Monitoring Service selected 30 glaciers from 9 mountain ranges around the world by a method intentionally designed to remove such selection bias. Each glacier is intensively studied to get a true mass balance for each, and the results are averaged together. The story is directly contrary to Limbaugh's ideologically driven attack on the science of climate change. The alpine glaciers on a whole are not only losing mass, but they are losing mass at a faster and faster rate. It's easy to find a couple of growing glaciers and claim that they represent the total ice mass, but it is pretty much worthless as conclusive data. The research conducted to get this data set took a lot of work and has a much greater scientific validity. And it's not just alpine glaciers. The ice sheets are also losing mass. It has been hard to tell if Antarctica was losing or gaining mass, but the most comprehensive study by Rignaud et al. From 2008 indicates Antarctica is not only losing mass, but the rate of ice loss is increasing there too. There is no debate about Greenland. It's losing hundreds of billions of tons of ice per year. And where does that water go? Just look at sea level over the past century, 20 centimeters of rise over 100 years. About half of that is due to thermal expansion of seawater, but the rest is due to melting glaciers. Both these factors are speeding up. We expect a lot more than 20 centimeters of sea level rise over the next century. Some models indicate more than a meter of sea level rise. But it's uncertain what might happen if we threw Rush Limbaugh into the ocean. But since he's so willing to let this greenhouse gas accumulation experiment continue full throttle, perhaps he would also be willing to let us test the Rush to the ocean experiment as well. But in all seriousness, he may not have much of a choice, as the majority of his $30 million property in Palm Beach will most likely be underwater by 2050 if he gets his way. Keep talking, Rush. You'll sound much more convincing underwater.
But they have a political agenda behind global warming, and it is more government, more spending, less freedom, higher taxes, so forth and so on. So global warming is a hoax, yet here comes Rex Tillerson endorsing a carbon tax. The Earth, as I have just explained, is cooling. It has been cooling since 1997. It has not warmed.
Oh, brother.